Hello, everybody. This is Peter from Geekhead, and I'm sharing with you my reviews of episode 1 and 2 from the 10th season of Supernatural. Well, I'm sharing with you my review of episode 2 because I'll be completely honest. Here's my review of episode 1. Watch episode 2. That's it. In all seriousness, episode 1 was at best a 4 out of 10. It's below average. The plot is silly, and biggest crime of all is something I'll get into talking about episode 2. So, let's begin. Okay, so starting with episode 2 of 10th season of Supernatural. Obviously, a lot of backstory here. If you don't know about the show so far, just a very brief overview. You got two brothers who hunt demons and other bad things. They're friends with an angel called Castiel. Castiel is dying because he had to steal the grace from another angel. And in fighting against the guy who basically started a solo war against heaven, Dean died. But his life was saved by coming back as a demon. Okay, you got all that? There's a hell of a lot more to it. Basically, you have to rewatch the whole thing. I'm sorry. It's a good show, though, so you won't be suffering too much. Episode 2 starts off with Sam Winchester. Sam's been kidnapped by this dude who starts torturing him to try to find out Dean's location. Dean has spoken to the guy and basically said, whatever. Don't care. Yeah, kill him, whatever. Being a demon, he no longer cares. And that's the thing about this episode. You really get to see that in Dean. Short version, good episode. I liked it. Longer version, particularly amongst the good, was you didn't get too much of Sam, but what you got, it was concentrated and it was focused. And his interactions with Dean at the end of the episode were very, very strong. It was very fun. You also had some cool interactions between Crowley and Dean, including a brilliant moment where Crowley's basically trying to bully Dean, who says, in all seriousness, Crowley, what can you do to me? And Crowley can't do anything, because Dean's much more powerful. He could kill Crowley pretty easy, and he knows it. Because the thing is, Crowley's kept on trying to manipulate Dean, kept on trying to manipulate him into working together with him to further the goals of hell. And Dean isn't having any of that. He doesn't care. He just wants to go and have a good time, which is fair enough, I guess. And that really showed in the first episode, where Dean's just trying to have a good time and Crowley's trying to force him into being a demon. Really comes to a head in this one. But back to Sam. So Sam's been kidnapped. He eventually escapes. That is, the guy lets him go with the idea that he will follow him to find Dean. Solid enough plan. Thing is, you learn in flashback that Dean killed this guy's father years ago. Probably the guy's dad was some kind of a monster at that point, which is why, but it does lead to an okay dynamic. And again, I'll get more to that when I discuss the finale of the episode. Most of the episode, though, is about Dean essentially telling Crowley to shove it, but at the same time, embracing that he's a nasty guy and he's a demon. And this is where the real strength of the episode lies, with Dean. Because he doesn't feel like Dean. You can see him in there. You can see the relationship between this guy on screen and Dean. It's not like it's a new character played by the same actor, but there is enough different and enough the same that you really get a sense that there's something wrong here. And it's chilling when he confronts Sam at the end of the episode. Absolutely chilling, because their interaction, you can see that Dean is no longer Dean. He is a demon version of Dean. And that is the strongest moment in the episode. So anyway, plot-wise, it's fairly straightforward. Dean screws up an assignment for Crowley, which does lead to a nice moment where you see just how cold Dean can really get. And you get the feeling he kills a guy he's not meant to, but you get the feeling he kills him not because the guy's a bad guy, but because the guy isn't willing to nut up and do the bad stuff himself. It's like he kills him for a lack of professionalism, for giving bad people a bad name, which is really cool. Well, it's obviously not a good thing, but it shows Dean changing very strongly. But because of this, Crowley and Dean separate. They had been working together, they now separate officially. Crowley lets Sam know where Dean is, and they have a confrontation. It's going about as well as you'd expect, Sam being completely, wrecked. And then Dean gets confronted by this other guy, who says, you killed my father. He gets some wonderfully snarky dialogue in there, really insults the guy, and just humiliates him. Because Dean's a demon, who can toss around other demons. So he's way beyond this guy, and he knows it from the start. He plays with him, humiliates this guy, and lets him live because it's worse for him. There's a lovely moment right at the end, actually, in terms of acting. It's not nice, but it's very well done, where Sam's like, you let him live, so there's some of my brother in you. And Dean says, effectively, nah, let him live because that's worse for the guy. And you buy it. You believe that. It's very strong performance there. It's good performances all round, really. And then, this guy, he's clearly going to be around a while. I've forgotten his name. I've forgotten his name, but you can actually see something we've not really seen in this show before. The creation of a new hunter. Someone beginning that journey. We've seen guys at various stages, retirement, well in. We've seen the brothers try to retire again and again, but we've never seen someone at the start of that journey. And I think we're seeing that. And that could be really, really cool. Yes, the character's not the most original. He's got hints of Gordon Walker, hints of Henriksen in him. But if you know those characters, you know there's much worse DNA you could start with. So I'm interested to see where this guy's going. But yeah, our episode ends with Dean locked up by Sam. He's able to get the drop on him, lock him up with the devil's trap. And that's where you get the moment between the brothers, where Dean shows that he's not Dean anymore. The promise of the next episode is to explore that. And I'm interested to see where it goes. I just have one fear. My fear is that they're going to deal with Dean as demon far too quickly. And I want that to persist for a while because it's a dynamic that the first episode wasted. In the first episode, it felt like Dean being a bit more of a jerk, like season 3 Dean. This episode, it felt like something else. That's kind of rambling, so let's sum up. On the good side, characters were very strong. Dean got the lion's share of the screen time, lion's share of the action, and he nailed it every step of the way. Crowley was Crowley, which is as much of a compliment as you will ever need for that character. Sam didn't have much, but what he had was good, and the new Hunter character was interesting. At least, he's not great in his own right yet, but you can see the potential for someone who could have a great impact on the show. There's just one real negative to the episode, and that is the story with Castiel. It felt tacked on, there for pacing. Short version, Castiel's female angel lady friend goes to Metatron to try to ask for help. Castiel says no, and they have a confrontation. It's not bad. It's not a bad scene. It's well acted, well performed, and there are some good moments in it. But it felt like it didn't add anything to the episode except padding and maybe helping with the pacing a bit. So overall, I would give this episode about a 7 out of 10. If episode 1 was a 4, this was a 7. 7 being, I would happily rewatch it, but I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to. It was strong, but it wasn't anything special. If the Castiel line had been stronger, or the episode had had a couple more wow moments, it might have been a special episode. As it was merely a very good, strong, eminently watchable episode of Supernatural. Great way to introduce people to the show. That is my review. Any thoughts, comments, queries? Leave them in the comments below. I'll try to be more coherent and more timely with my review of episode 3. Hopefully get that one out by Friday. So, until then, this is Peter Gearing saying geek out.